Okay, let's unpack this. We are diving into a source today that addresses a huge paradigm shift. And it's not just in technology, but in what you can actually earn professionally. This deep dive is all about the super fast evolving role of the Fintech and Web3 Ambassador. And look, the source makes this extremely bold financial claim. It suggests that expert guidance here can command, well, they call it a $1 minute Fintech dream. So the central question we really have to answer for you is this. How real is all this acceleration? And what steps do you actually need to take to capitalize on a shift that's promising, potential $15K plus monthly shifts for the people who lead it?
Right. And to ground this conversation, let's start with the scale because it's important. This isn't just theory. The Web3 and fintech space it's currently crossing over 659 million global users. Yeah, it's a massive number. And this huge population isn't just, using the tech. They're demanding interpretation, they need guidance, and frankly, security. And that scale is being matched by just incredible speed. The sources describe this whole evolution as moving faster than the internet and smartphones combined.
Okay, that's a statement that you really have to pause on.
Yeah.
Faster than both combined.
Exactly. And that statement implies a kind of technological compression. I mean, the entire adoption cycle that we saw play out over decades, it's now being forced into just a few years. And that compression, that's the main driver behind this skyrocketing demand for expert guides for ambassadors.
Absolutely. So our mission today is to cut through that sheer velocity because I think most people are just getting paralyzed by the flow of information. We need to pull out the crucial nuggets for you, the strategy, the concrete timeline from Alejandro Perez, and the financial reality so you can actually position yourself to lead this change instead of, just perpetually playing catch up.
So let's dedicate some time to really understanding that claim of speed because it is unparalleled. When we talk about outpacing the internet and smartphone adoption curves, we're really talking about two fundamental differences. First, the infrastructure is virtual, not physical. The early internet, it required laying fiber, building cell towers. Web3 just layers solutions on top of the internet infrastructure we already have, which allows for, exponential scaling.
Oh, wait, when you say it's moving faster, I have to inject a little skepticism here. I mean, is this just hype? The internet and smartphones created entirely new physical ecosystems. What's the specific metric that justifies a claim that this shift is faster than both of them put together?
That's a fair challenge. And the sources claim it rests on adoption velocity versus time. If you look at the time it took the internet to go from, say, 100 million to 600 million users, it took years of building out infrastructure and, cultural adaptation. Web3 is decentralized. It enables global network effects almost instantly. Every new user on one chain can potentially connect to every other chain through bridges and these interoperability protocols. Plus, the financial incentive to switch is just so much more compelling than the slow speed of dial-up was at the start.
So the complexity grows exponentially faster than the user base itself, because every new connection introduces a potential security flaw or a regulatory headache that needs solving.
Exactly.
That makes sense. So the source's core message becomes critical then. Don't just watch the shift happen, which is what most of us do. You have to actively lead it.
And the timeline for action is extremely specific, as cited by Alejandra Perez. She identifies why 2026 is the year of borderless money.
Borderless money.
Yes. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, borderless money isn't just, sending some crypto from one wallet to another. It implies seamless, immediate, high-volume transactions. We're talking potentially trillions, moving across global jurisdictions without relying on the slow, expensive systems like SWIFT.
That's a profound implication. If 2026 is that watershed moment, then the skill set that an ambassador needs, it shifts dramatically. They aren't just crypto hobbyists anymore. They're like fractional compliance officers, security architects, governance experts who get this rapid-fire, high-stakes environment.
Precisely. The complexity of facilitating those high-volume global transactions, ensuring instant settlement while trying to adhere to 100 different regional compliance regimes, that is the bottleneck. And that bottleneck is where the high-value opportunity is created.
And here's where it gets really interesting for you, listening right now. If the technical shift is happening that fast, creating this massive expertise bottleneck, then the opportunity to make big money, really big money now, is equally high. We're talking about the chance to make money by bridging this gap between the old financial world and this new decentralized one.
And what's fascinating here is the concrete financial potential that the sources detail. It's focused specifically on positioning yourself for the $15K plus monthly shifts. We have to emphasize this isn't, speculative crypto investing. This is current, tangible, high-value consulting and deployment work. This financial claim is a direct reflection of the immediate and critical scarcity of qualified people.
But let's be real for a second. $15,000 a month, that's $180,000 a year. That is top-tier consulting pay. Is this actually achievable for the average person who's just entering the space? Or is the source only talking about the top 1% of developers? What are the barriers to entry that justify a claim that big?
That's a really important question, and the source implicitly answers it through the strategy it proposes. The high compensation isn't just about technical brilliance, it's about synthesizing that brilliance and making it actionable for those 659 million users and the businesses trying to serve them. The barrier to entry isn't necessarily a PhD in cryptography. It's the ability to filter out the noise and provide clear, secure guidance, and to do it immediately. Think about the nature of those shifts that command that kind of income. We're talking about leading large-scale DeFi adoption projects for traditional companies, which require incredibly complex security auditing against new smart contract risks. Or strategic positioning, guiding a company on which Layer 2 solution offers the best interoperability for their specific market. These are multi-million-dollar decisions being made under severe time pressure. A single mistake can cost exponentially more, which is why they pay a premium for guaranteed expertise.
So the ambassador role is less like a traditional employee and more like a high-stakes fractional CTO or compliance analyst for companies trying to navigate this new ecosystem. That scarcity for clear leadership, driven by a market that's just growing faster than anything we've seen before, that's what drives the price up for people who can lead.
Precisely. If a traditional consulting firm needs 6 months to train someone, but the market is moving every 6 weeks, the supply can literally never meet the accelerating demand. The person who already has that vetted knowledge commands the premium.
Okay, so we've covered the why, the speed, and the immediate high-potential financial return. Now we have to move to the crucial how. The sources don't just leave this to chance. They point toward a very specific strategic path that's designed to compress your learning curve and let you capitalize on this scarcity.
This is where we break down the strategy detailed by Alejandro Perez, the Ambassador Hub strategy. The fundamental purpose of a hub like this is to solve the very problem we just identified, information overload and knowledge scarcity. It can't just be, another discussion forum.
Right. If you're trying to lead a shift that's moving faster than the internet, you can't rely on information you gathered 6 months ago. The hub must function as a real-time, curated intelligence pipeline. So what specific mechanisms does the source imply are needed for this hub to generate that $15,000 a month level of expertise?
Well, based on the source's emphasis on speed and leading the shift, the hub has to be structured around actionable knowledge, aggregation of that knowledge. This means vetting and synthesizing the constant stream of cross-chain updates, regulatory shifts in major places like the EU or Southeast Asia, and critically, sharing vetted, pre-audited smart contract or security best practices. Think of it as a central nervous system that filters out 99% of the noise and delivers only the 1% you need for high-value decision-making.
Okay, so give me an example.
Sure. An ambassador facing, say, an interoperability challenge doesn't have time to research every single protocol from scratch. It's impossible. The hub provides the specific template or scenario plan for navigating complex issues, like managing liquidity across multiple layer 2s while minimizing gas fees, a very common high-value problem.
And this connects directly back to you, the learner. The hub strategy is the specific mechanism designed to help you avoid that information overload that's crippling everyone else. It ensures the knowledge you get is current, it's verified, and it's structured for solving high-value paid problems. It's what moves you from an observer to a leader.
It acts as the necessary accelerator. If you had to manually track every regulatory development and security exploit across dozens of chains, you could never achieve the speed required to command those high fees. The hub is the operational shortcut for attaining expert status, positioning you to handle the complex problems that generate those claimed $15K plus monthly shifts. It is the action plan for moving into that lead position before that 2026 borderless money deadline.
So what does this all mean? We've really uncovered 3 explosive elements from the sources today. First, the unprecedented speed of this Web3 and Fintech transition, just supercharged by virtual infrastructure and financial incentives. Second, the concrete and immediate financial opportunity tied to those $15 plus monthly shifts for ambassadors who can solve these high-stakes scarcity problems. And third, the specific strategic blueprint that the Ambassador Hub provides for actually executing on that lead position.
So, a final thought. Given that the market is already at 659 million users and growing faster than the internet itself, what's the true cost of waiting to gain this specialized ambassador expertise? If Alejandro Perez is right, and 2026 is truly the year the floodgates open for borderless money, then delaying action means you miss the crucial window. The window where demand so wildly outstrips supply, which is the fundamental driver of that high compensation. You have to acquire the scarcity.
The time to become an expert and lead this shift is now. If you want the strategic advantage that Alejandro Perez described to capture that high financial positioning, don't just watch the shift happen. Join our Fintech and Web3 Ambassador Community Hub.